And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me tonight, I have Christopher Minori. Say hello to everybody.
Hello.
And before we get started, I think you wanted to try and plug a few things before we actually got into this deep discussion of The Shining, starring Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, so I just want to say, my show, Texas Chainsaw Musical, just finished up in Cleveland at the Blank Canvas Theater. I think Saturday was the last show, and sold out shows all over. Also, if you are a writer, I'm part of a writers group here in Boquete, Panama, which is where I live now. And if you're interested and maybe talking to us about it, maybe actually joining the group, hit up bouquetteauthors.org. So I guess that's it. Oh, and you know what else? I'm just finishing the first draft of a screenplay based on my Banished Demon series. So I'm hoping I got a little bit interest in that. So hopefully that'll take off. And if not, I'll
Congratulations to
get
you.
on here and pretend. Thank you. Thank you very
You're
much.
very
Oh, and
welcome.
the last thing I want to plug is that friggin' intro you got. Wow, man. I feel like I've been busted on the news or something. Holy shit.
Thanks, man. I do appreciate it. I want to try and get this new vibe going where everybody will feel pumped up, excited to be listening to the podcast or watching the podcast at home. So this is my way of actually introducing some new music into this and everything. Also, too, I want to appreciate you taking the time out of your night to review this film, The Shining. But this is not going to be our normal, everyday type of review that we're doing for The Shining. We're doing like a deep dive into The Shining. We're doing a discussion basically from the book that I have over here
Mm-hmm.
to the movie. And also, too, I also had some notes that I made specifically for this. And
Cool.
like I said, this is going to be a different way of reviewing it. This is just going to be a conversation between the two of us. And before we get started, let me go on ahead and say this and everything is a disclaimer. If you have any issues with me mispronouncing names, or if you have any issues with me at all and everything, and you want to be a total ball bag, you're not going to be a ball bag on this show. Because if you're going to be a ball bag on this show, first strike, I'm putting you in timeout to where you can't respond for 5 minutes. Second strike, this is what I'm going to do. I'm banning you. So therefore, you only have two strikes. This is not baseball. You don't get three strikes in life. So you guess what? You only get two with me, and that's it. So if you want to be a ball bag and everything, be a ball bag somewhere else. Be respectful towards me and my guests. But further ado, let's go on ahead and get into this discussion.
Yeah.
So Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. It's a classic among many film fans. Also, too, it wasn't well received in the 1980s as well, either. But now all of a sudden it has this big cult following. It had a budget of $19 million. It made $47 million back then, but still, overall, it what didn't do so good and everything when it first came out. And like I said, it had this big, huge cult following. When the movie pretty much opens up, we see Jack at the Overlook trying to get a job at the Overlook, and we can tell in the first 5 minutes of this film, he already looks crazy. He already has that little crazy smirk on his face and things like that. Total Jack Nicholson. Matter of fact, I might actually just call it Jack Nicholasm. Jack Nicholasm. But that's pretty
Jack
much
Nicholasm. That's awesome.
because that's basically what he is. I mean, I can't sugarcoat it or whatever. His performance is basically him being crazy already. Stephen King even mentions the fact that one of the most missed characters ever put on film, and has described the director's film as being very cold. Time appears to not
Yeah.
have changed in his opinion at all either over the years. He goes, I think The Shining is a beautiful film and looks terrific, as I've said before. It's a big, beautiful Cadillac with no engine inside it. In that tense, when it opened, a lot of the reviews weren't very favorable, and was one of those reviewers. I kept my mouth shut at the time, but I didn't care for it much, King said. So,
Well, it's
yeah,
interesting. You know, I wouldn't care for it either as an author. So King writes a screenplay. But and by the way, The Shining is my all-time favorite novel. It's probably the greatest American ghost story. Fans of Poe will
right.
probably argue with me, but you're wrong. It is one of probably the greatest American ghost stories ever written. And screw you. I'm trying to think of who
Stanley
wrote.
Kubrick.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
You're very
Um,
welcome.
so I love it. And King writes a first draft on it, and he hands it in, and Kubrick winds up taking it over, and he takes the script, doesn't even read it, throws it out, and writes his own script. That is not The Shining. I don't know what he wrote. It's a bunch of disjointed scenes, some of them nice, most of them shit.
Definitely. And I want to say this. The very beginning, it actually looks good because you have that elevator scene with the blood coming out of the elevator and things like that. And you're expecting something great. And then you wind up with the pile of cow dung at the very big, at the, towards the middle of the film and also at the
Yeah,
beginning of the film. This movie's a giant mess. It doesn't know exactly what it wants to be in a sense
yeah,
because of the fact everything is misconjointed. And also, too, the thing that I really wish that they would have done was this. I wish that they would have had the slow pacing of the film like they did in Doctor Sleep, to have that slow
mhm.
tension, to have the
Oh yeah,
introduction of Jack
right.
and have him at the bar. It doesn't have to be a flashback scene or anything like that, like in the book or anything like that. Just give us some mannerisms of him slowly becoming crazy rather than him already being crazy. Because if you look at that smirk at the very first five, not even 5 minutes of the film, whenever he's being introduced into the office and everything, you can tell that he's already there in the
Yeah,
first 5 minutes.
yeah.
And it doesn't have no build to it. It doesn't have no tension. It doesn't have any way of letting go. And even the corruption that went on within the Overlook was an interesting story for them to go through. Even more of an interesting story for it to follow through with the ghost stories and things like that within the Stanley Hotel, which I wish they would
Mhm.
capture.
Well, it's not even, not even. It's funny because Kubrick immediately in his first scene really, when I watched it, I thought, "Wow, this is going to be amazing!" Right? It starts off with that way big overhead shot of a road, a winding road, and all of the
Mhm. So let's see. So another thing that I want to mention is this. Let's see here. There's also the part we can tell in the like I said before, tell within the first 5 minutes that this man is crazy. And he's also has the manager and how he doesn't care for the manager. Also, too, the manager's a very much of a douchebag in the very first 5 or 10 minutes of this film setting up, and you can tell that he's actually a douchebag and stuff like that, and he's trying everything to basically just explain to Jack the origins of the hotel, the corruption a little bit of the hotel and things like that. But it doesn't give us enough meat to be able to digest it all the way through or to allow it to work. And it just falls flat. And here we go. So,
win for trying, can we? So I'm
well,
running off a hotspot now. Welcome to Panama. Our internet went out. It always does that at the worst possible moment. And
it's okay.
so I'm running off my phone right now. Hopefully it seems like it's doing okay. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. So
So
go on
do I
in.
sound okay? I sound okay?
Yeah,
And
you sound perfect.
do I still turn you on? Do I look good? What are you
I don't know
wearing?
about the turning on part,
Anyway,
but you sound good.
so I was saying, there's that amazing scene, right? It's the winding road, and you see the forest on either side. And you don't see anything else, just the green and that one road and that beautiful music, right? That theme to the Shining and the cars moving around the road, and it's great. You immediately see how isolated they are before they even get to the hotel. You can see how isolated they are, and then it all goes to crap, right? Like you said, then it switches to Nicholson in the office with, gosh, what was his name? Ullman? I think it's Ullman. And it just, you're right. You can see he's crazy. And you mentioned a bunch of things that were a problem, but the biggest problem is there's no character arc, right? I mean, this
No.
is his uh, this is really about the father, right? In the book, he starts off. He was a writer. He had a successful book out, and or I don't know if it was successful, but very critically approved
Acclaim.
of.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And then he gets deep into his alcoholism, and at one point he walks in on his son, who is it has, like a little kid will do, right? He's thrown, I think he's 2 or 3, he's thrown all the papers and ink all over the guy's new book, and the father grabs him and breaks his arm. And they allude to that in this movie, but they don't ever show it. And then, if you recall, he beats the crap out of a student of his who doesn't like a grade he gets, and slices the guy's tires. And it they skipped all that, right? This job was his last shot, right? Everything else had fallen apart. He had a good friend who got him the job, and it's great. He's going to be there. He's going to be by himself. He's going to be able to write his novel and have the time to do that. And it just, they didn't touch on any of that. He just came in. He's crazy. Already, you can see later on, we don't even know if he has beaten his wife at some point. He's just going off on her. And where's the character arc? You don't care about him from the
No.
start, right? And that is the story. It's the tragedy of this guy who gets one more shot, has quit drinking, gets one more shot, and the hotel steps in and just says, "No, you're not getting this," and it seduces him.
Right.
That's not this movie.
No, it definitely isn't. It's a cut and paste kind of thing. It's basically one note. There's no layers to them. It's paint by the numbers kind of thing basically. And to be honest with you, I wanted to see the character arc of Jack Nicholson, of Jack, slowly getting to that point where he's like, look, I have a problem. I have an addiction. I need to get cleaned up. And then he also has a friend that he used to go out at the bars and everything. And then what changed him was him hitting somebody on the road, or who they thought that they hit something or someone, and they're not sure. But either way it goes, they wind up leaving the scene of the accident, and that's what made his friend become sober while Jack is still battling his alcoholism.
Right.
And
That's right. I
so I
forgot about that. That's correct. Yeah.
I was hoping that they would actually gave us that on some level of what his alcoholism actually is, and then also too him getting sober, and then after that the hotel targets him and his insecurities and his weakness into back into
Hmm.
being addicted to alcohol. I wanted
Yeah.
to see that because everybody relapses. Everybody has their own demons that they're battling every single day.
Hmm.
It would be
Yeah.
interesting to me as a storyteller, as someone who's directing, to target those areas and then use those areas against him to where he has to now battle his demons again, but in a different way. To me,
Yeah.
you would have your character arc that way.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know what Kubrick was thinking, and from what I read from King, his conversations with Kubrick was that Kubrick, I don't know, he like didn't believe in tragedy or something, right? And he missed so many great opportunities to. Instead, he went with these cheap shots, and I know everybody loves the blood coming out of the hotel elevator, but it's a cheap shot, right? It's not scary. First of all, it's
No.
beautiful to watch the blood coming through, but in slow motion. But it's not scary, and I don't know. It doesn't really give you anything besides like, hey, look at me. You know. I just it just annoys me. Um, I mean, the guy's a caretaker. Let's just go into that. The guy is a caretaker of the hotel, and does he do anything in the movie to actually take care of the hotel? All we see him doing is writing and yelling at his wife and kid and bouncing tennis balls, right? He's just playing with his balls, which I'm pretty
And
sure
every
that's what Kubrick did too.
well, every once in a while, you would see Jack in the boiler room doing the boiling system, and that's it. You didn't see him trimming the hedges like he was supposed to do in the book, because he was trimming the
Right.
hedges in the book. You didn't see him do any type of interaction when it came down to him actually being a caretaker. All you saw him do was struggling as an author, trying to write his story, and that was it. That's all they were mainly focused on. But at least with the mini series from ABC, they focused
Oh,
in
which I
on
love.
yes,
Yeah,
the
by
mini
the way,
series to
I
me was the
love
best.
that. That is The Shining. Is that right there, right? I watched that again recently, and it's so good. I mean, it really hits at the heart of The Shining, and it shows, pretty much the book. I mean, it's pretty much the book, and it's scary, and it's sad to watch this guy just go down to the extent where he tries to kill his family, right? I don't even remember Nicholson being in the boiler room at all. Maybe he was. I don't recall that, but
Okay.
it was a major point in the book, right? Because in the end, that's how the Overlook dies, and how Jack doesn't get his family is he forgets in his madness. He forgets to check the boiler, make sure it's not going too hot, and it does, and it explodes, right? And the Overlook goes into burns up. And I mean, what was Kubrick thinking? I mean, it just I don't I don't know. I'm going to be honest, and here it is, and I'm ready. But some of my fans on my pages have already said they're going to boycott me because I don't like The Shining. Right? It's this huge cult thing now, and I'm really going to give it to them. Right? Big finger to them. Kubrick is not the director that everybody talks about. He is overrated. His best film was probably Doctor Strangelove. Um, Even 2001, which I think a lot of people think of as one of his pinnacle films. As soon as it finishes with the apes, it just gets boring as hell, right? And I mean, that's 20 minutes into the film, and we get an intermission. I got to see that as a kid in theaters. They re-released it, and they actually had an intermission, which I thought was cool when I was younger, because it felt like one of the old movies and stuff where they would do that. But it's boring. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, again, it's pretty to look at. He is all visual, no substance, right? I mean, that's
Right.
literally what he is. Every movie he has some amazing scenes. It has a couple of really good parts, again, with the exception of Doctor Strangelove. And then it's boring through half of it, right? And then it releases, and because he's Stanley Kubrick, people are, oh, he's amazing. Look at his vision. His vision sucks. Okay. I can actually watch on Twitter people leaving me.
Nah. But all film is subjective and everything. Just because we didn't enjoy The Shining or anything like that does not shouldn't take away from your enjoyment of that film or whatever. We're glad that you like it. We might question why you like it sometimes, but still overall, the other
I
like you said
disagree. You
before.
should listen to us and stop liking that movie. It's terrible. Just terrible. Stop liking it. Don't be one running with the pack. Don't listen to John. John's a nice guy. I'm a dick. It's a terrible movie.
Well, anyways, um, but like I want to just go off of what you said though about the boiler room because
Mhm.
remember the hotel manager's telling him, "Hey, look, you have to keep the temperature up to a certain level, otherwise the hotel's gonna burn up."
Right.
And so that was the key element in the book. In this one,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if there's even anything to do with the boiler system within this at all. All he's doing, like you said, bouncing the tennis ball. He's over there threatening Wendy, threatening his son Danny, abusing them, and also too,
Mhm.
when the ghosts do come out and play with Jack and everything, it's not that threatening to me. It's not that menacing to me at all because of the fact, oh, I'm going to tease you with your alcoholism, but you don't show us anything leading
Right.
up before the alcoholism and
Yeah.
stuff. And I understand the book is always better than the movie when it comes to Stephen King, baby. I really do, Brandy. But when it comes down to the context of it, They need to give us a little bit more. I know it's the 80s. I know that it's pretty much one dimensional whenever it comes down to storytelling in some aspects in the 80s or whatever. But when you look at this as a whole, there's not that slow tension. There's not that slow build up. They don't give us enough meat to be able to
No.
digest at all. And it becomes a paint by the numbers kind of film. Oh, look at this scenery right here,
Yeah.
but I'm going to distract you with the scenery while we screw something else up within the film itself.
No,
And
I mean
trying to
Friday the 13th had more of a story. I'm serious, right? The first one had more of a story than The Shining did. And that's like a crime. Kubrick should have been arrested for this thing. It was a crime. It's interesting if I can just, and I don't know if you plan to talk about it later, but I just want to drop into Doctor Sleep a little bit, which of
Well,
course is
yeah,
the
we're gonna get to that in a
sequel.
few minutes. Yeah, we're gonna
Oh,
get into
let's
Doctor
do it.
Sleep
Okay, because
in a few because
an interesting thing about the boiler in that one, which is just it's weird.
they do a better job at doing the boiler compared to what they did in The Shining. To me, they do because of the fact that at least we're getting elements from The Shining that we got that they should have put into from Doctor Sleep that they should have went on ahead and put into The Shining. So I
Right, right.
appreciate
Well,
the Shining. To me, Doctor Sleep's a better film as far as sequel, as far as a Stanley Kubrick, keeping it a Stanley Kubrick film, but also allowing the director to do his own thing. And
right.
you can tell that at the very beginning it's a Stanley Kubrick movie. Then later on it cuts into being the director's movie, the movie that he wants to direct. But the thing that I really wish they would actually captured was the corruption, like I said, in the hotel when Jack is inside the attic, digging through all the paperwork, finding out stuff,
Oh
and that's
yeah,
where he was going to base
yeah.
his book off of,
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah, he decided he switched from what he was writing to a book about the Overlook.
which would have been a much better story with them doing it in that way. And then also, too, keeping up with the boiler system. And then you can have the confrontation with Wendy and Danny and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And like, there's no meat here. And then also, too, um, I, I wanted to see more with the animals and the shape when they did so
And
much
so
more.
I get, right, and I'm going to be fair to them on this one. I get they didn't have the effects to do what they did in the miniseries, but at the same time, if they had just even shown them, like, I don't know anybody who watches Doctor Who, and I take every opportunity to bring this up, Doctor Who, I love it, but the Weeping Angels, right, as soon as they're stiff, and as soon as you turn away, they move, right,
Right,
and they could have just done that, right? They didn't even have to ever show them move. In fact, I almost don't like that they do show them move in the miniseries. It's one of the very few things I don't like about it. They could have just like seen, Danny starting to walk and then turn around and the lion has moved a little bit. And when he turns around again, he's moved more and gotten closer and never show them move and maybe
they could have
even make
used
the
stop
rustling
motion.
sound.
Right, they could have used
They
stop
don't
motion
even
effects.
have to do that, right? Like I feel like seeing them actually move takes away from it because in the book he never sees them move, right? And I remember, man, one of the things that scared the crap out of me in that is Danny's walking and he hears the sound of a clump of snow drop, you know, and he turns around and it's obviously that the lion, and there's some other things too, I think there's a rabbit and whatever, but the lion is what I remember. The lion has moved a little bit and now the snow that was covered on it has dropped to the ground. I mean, that's a terrifying scene, right? I almost feel like showing them moving takes away from it. And so Kubrick could have made, without having to do any of the effects and stuff, just done that. And
Right,
instead, he comes up with this amazing. I love and of course we originally called this the Shinning review, and I love the Simpsons thing where Bart just goes right through with a hedge trimmer, just trims holes and just goes right through, right, and doesn't even worry about the maze. It's just, I don't know, it's not well conceived, it's dumb, it's not scary. And that is the problem with this movie. It's simply not scary.
that I agree with you.
This is not vodka, by the way, but I kind of wish it was. Um, well, let's talk before we go to Doctor Sleep. Let's talk about what really is wrong. And in my mind, the very first thing is that almost, with the exception of Scatman Crothers and some of the very, very bit parts, everyone's miscast in this, right? Jack Nicholson, wrong guy to put in this. He comes off crazy and he's not likable, right?
Right.
He
Well,
hadn't done a whole lot before this since One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which we talked about last time.
right.
And but even that guy, McMurphy, was likable, right? I mean, despite his craziness and his meanness at times and violence, he was a likable character. But Jack's not likable in this, right? We don't give a crap what happens to him. You notice I said crap instead of shit because
Right.
I'm trying to make this a family show.
I understand, but you already said dick already, so we.
I,
So- but speaking of which, we're going to talk about some balls in a minute. But but before we get into that part, um, the thing that I, the thing that I really want to touch on that also doesn't come out right either. But the thing that I really made
you
show
want to
notes.
touch on some balls? Is that what we're going to do? This show has gone downhill so
Okay,
quickly.
so that's it. We're doing it. So, guys, guess what? So, if you guys want to save on manscaping, if you're having some problems in the downstairs area, it's getting a little too hairy. If you're feeling like Jack is just a dull boy downstairs and you need something to shave with, go on ahead and get yourself a manscape. You get 20% off using the promo code Movie Loves Unite, and you get this. You go on ahead and get free shipping and handling. This offer doesn't help. This offer, you won't get this anywhere else but here at Movie Lovers Unite. Also, too, as well, your wife will thank you. Your balls will thank you. But most importantly, is this. Support from Movie Lovers Unite is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming, champions of the world. Manscaped offers perfection engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their fourth generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right. The 4.0 joined over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. With this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code Movie Loves Unite at manscaped.com. Now, imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time his best time and his favorite time in the bathroom. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I'm blown away by the performance. That's right, the performance level is just beyond anything that you want to do. You thought he was doing some landscaping over there at the Stanley Hotel? Forget that. You want to go on ahead and manscape down below because it's the perfect design on the below the waist grooming that you never get anywhere else, and the craftsmanship and details of the 4.0 are next level. Do you want to know what the next level is of this, Chris? Do you really want to know?
Oh, I'm dying. Tell me.
Okay, the Manscaped Engineering is the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent and functionality and an incredible, comfortable grooming experience. The fourth generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin safe technology. Now, and get this. Now I feel comfortable shaving my boys because you want your boys to be the next level. So guess what? You have to get the next level stuff, which is the Lawnmower 4.0 Manscaped for your landscaping procedures. So that's what I recommend. And guess what? You don't want to go in ahead and nick your boys. I had that one time happen to me. I hated that thing really bad. It's like shaving with a rusty knife or a rusty trimmer. You don't want that. No, you don't want to be in
Oh,
an
that's
emergency room
absolutely
or anything like
true.
that. No, you don't want to be in an emergency room and have to explain to the doctor, look, I got nicked shaving my boys with the wrong trimmer. No, go in and get yourself a lawnmower 4.0 and get this. The upgraded trimmer includes a multifunction on and off switch that can engage the travel lock. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4000 LED spotlight on and off when needed to use for a more precise shave. It's always good because here's the thing: you never knew that you had hair below all those hard to reach places until you start shaving. And believe me, you don't want to come out looking like that you came off of one of those landscapes off of The Shining. So the Lawnmower 4.0 even allows you to customize your trim through additional guard links with sizes 1 through 4. Did I mention wireless charging? The new wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer. Men, if you've been shaving with the same nut trimmer on your face, you've been doing it wrong. No person wants to end up with pubes in their mouth. No, you don't want to leave your woman disappointed with pubes in their mouth. No, you want to go ahead and have a nice smooth surface to where it's like, damn, that looks good. It's time to get your own ball hair and body trimmer with the Manscaped to make me time the best time and enhance your confidence with some nice smooth boys. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code Movie Loves Unite at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you and your woman will thank you too. And no shaving makes Jack a dull boy.
I just want to say that's the best segue I think I have ever heard. I wish if Johnny Carson had done this, he would have been much bigger, right?
I think
No,
so
that's a
too.
great. I just want to say I use it. I've had I actually carved your initials into it, just because that's how much I love you. I'm just kidding. I just do a little racing stripe.
So with that being, guys, let's go on ahead and get on with Doctor Sleep now. We'll talk about Doctor Sleep and the
All right.
appreciation that we have for that film. So, what did you love about Doctor Sleep?
Well, so let me get back to what I was trying to say before you so rudely interrupted me and told me, well,
Sorry,
we'll do
Manscaped.
that later.
Hey, you want
Hey,
all?
it's your
Hey,
show. You do it
hey.
your way. Let's do everything you want to do. All right. So, what was interesting is The Shining, as we mentioned, does really nothing with the boiler. And I was really surprised to find out that I had read Doctor Sleep as well. I'm a huge King fan, right? I really am. He's one of my very, very favorite novelists, and especially his short stories. Nobody does a short story better than King. And uh, so I was very surprised to find out that Doctor Sleep was actually a sequel to The Shining, right? I mean, a direct sequel to The Shining, because The Shining is not really The Shining, right? And so The Shining does nothing about the boiler stuff. And then there's this really powerful scene where the girl, and I can't think of her name right now, but she goes well, to the hotel people. Well, there's something, or to the bad guys, let's say, and she says, "There's something you haven't thought about. He touched the boiler. He did something with the boiler. Or he ignored the boiler. Something like that, right?" And so if you remember the book, it's very powerful. But if you only saw the movie, which I think probably a lot of people did, it doesn't really it loses its power, because all of a sudden we're talking about this major boiler thing that didn't happen in the previous movie. It's kind of interesting the way it tries to tie back to the movie instead of just tying back to the book, right? Or even tying back to the miniseries. So I like Doctor Sleep. I thought it was great. I love the book and I love the movie.
I do too.
Um, um, they did a really good job. There are some very scary scenes there, and the girl who plays what is it? Something the Hat. I don't remember what
Rose
her
the Hat is
Rose the
the
Hat.
bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and she was the top bad guy, and she was really good, right? I mean, she just really played her part well, and of course, Obi-Wan there. All these names. What is it? Evan,
uh,
Even, Ethan. I
McGregor.
don't know.
McGregor.
Yeah, thank you. Ewan.
McGregor.
Ewan McGregor. Right. He's fantastic in it. Right. Really good. And there's so many good character actors in that. And I think they really hit the story right. And I guess you could say, if you remember back in the 80s and maybe even the 90s, Stephen King movies just didn't do well really until Rob Reiner, right, took over the Shawshank Redemption. And then
Right.
Mick Garris, probably a lot of people don't know him. He's an independent director, but he did a fair amount of Stephen King movies. And finally, this guy got it. And and started making them good. So, and ever since then, I think the movies got better and better. But, The Shining came out in that period where just nobody could really interpret King except George Romero, right? In Creepshow, which
Right.
wasn't even based on a book. So,
But
yeah, it's so much better, so much better.
definitely so much better. Also, too, I just want to point out the reason why I love The Shining, the book, so much is because it's about sacrificing yourself to protect
Hmm.
your son. And the
Yeah,
Stanley Hotel actually does blow up in the book because of
right.
the fact that Jack
Right.
is trying to
So
protect his son.
let's call it the Overlook, right? Stanley
The
is
Overlook.
where they
Right,
filmed it,
the
but the
Overlook.
Overlook, I don't know, it has even a scary name, the Overlook,
Overlook.
right? To me. Yeah.
Right. And so basically now Danny is older. He survived all that ordeal and everything. He's dealing with PTSD, also dealing with the damage that his dad had left over and the scars that he left over, also making him fall into alcoholism. This is basically the story that we wanted with Jack, but we're getting it with Danny instead. And I feel like they're doing this thing where they're redeeming the Stanley Kubrick film in a sense, but also too telling their own story of what they need to tell with the sequel
Yeah.
to The Shining. And they do it perfectly well. It's perfectly well balanced. You have, of course, Rose the Hat in this movie, which she is a bad villain, to
Hmm.
be honest. She's
Yeah.
killing people and stealing other people's
She's killing
shine.
children,
Yeah,
right? She's
killing.
killing and torturing children because the steam is better when they're in pain. Um, that scene where the kid is like, are you going to hurt me? And she's like, oh, yeah, yeah, I am, because then it's better for me, basically, is what she says. And it's a terrifying scene, isn't it?
It is a terrifying scene. Also, too, we also get to see the ghost of the guy from the original Overlook, the caretaker from there, as
Grady.
well. Yep, we get to see Grady,
Yeah.
but also too, there's also the black guy that Danny calls, and he actually
Cowering.
sees.
Yeah,
Yep, we actually get to see
they're
his
cowering.
ghost and everything, and he's sitting down with Danny at a young age. He's telling him,
Mhm.
"Soon you're going to be the one to teach somebody else to shine." And then he looks at him.
Right,
He goes, "I don't want to teach anybody to shine." He goes, "There's going to be
right,
another one like you. You need to go ahead and come to the realization that there's someone else that's going to be like you that needs your help." And I
right.
love that. I love that whole entire scene.
And I know we're talking about Doctor Sleep now, but I'm gonna pull us back over to Kubrick Shining, because the absolute, I think you know where I'm going with this, the absolute worst thing that happens in that movie is that Dick Hallorann, right, who has this amazing shining ability, sees it in Danny and helps him understand it a little bit. He goes to Florida. We spend, and by the way, this is laughter of rage. And we spend so much of the film watching him get back to the hotel. He's there for 2 minutes and gets hit in the back uh, by Torrance, right, by Jack. And you just like it's not believable. It doesn't make sense. It makes me angry. And first of all, I love Scatman Crothers. Anybody who kills him, ooh, they should think otherwise. But it just makes no sense. He was one of the heroes in the book, right? He helped them escape. And even if you're gonna kill him, and I probably wouldn't have been furious if Kubrick had done this, but what was the point in showing 10 minutes of him traveling in various states and up a snowy mountain to get to them, and then he just dies? What is the point, and why doesn't he even know it, right? I mean, why doesn't he know this is going to happen? It just, God, it's so infuriating. And honestly, I think that is probably the worst thing in Kubrick Shining is that. And maybe it's because I love Dick Howard so much. In the book, they go through a lot of background about him in the war, and how he saved all of his fellow soldiers from a fire because they're shining. And in the book they actually reflect back to Dick Howard again for a page or so. That was very cool to go back and see him. It makes no damn sense, right? It
No,
really doesn't. And I just don't know where Kubrick's head was at. I really don't.
I don't either, because here's the thing: you would think that Dick would know that something's going on in the hotel and something is up, and he would take his time going into the building rather than just showing up at the front door. He would take his time going into the hotel, checking everything around him, checking his surroundings. He wouldn't just blindly just go into the hotel like he did or
Right.
anything like
And
that. And then,
hollering out, right?
right,
Hey, is anybody here? Are you all okay?
right.
What the fuck, man?
Exactly. He would have actually heard Jack Nicholson's voice or something. There's no way of them saying, "Hey, Jack is blocking his voice from for being for Dick to hear him or anything to actually replicate that to make him die." And he was actually underutilized as a character and as an actor
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well, because they could have
yeah.
had so much there for the second
Oh,
film. Even
absolutely. And he was the only person cast correctly, wasn't he? Nicholson, we already said he was crap. And Shelley Duvall, who I love, right? I mean, nobody could play Olive Oil the way she did. That was the part she was born to play, and I love that movie. But in this, Wendy's supposed to be this strong woman who fights back against Jack to protect her son, and that's not what this is. She's a blubbering fool, right? And then Danny, oh my,
you're
right? I
right.
mean, the friggin' voice is. I remember again a scene in the book where Dick had said to Danny, "If you need me, call out. I'll hear you." And Dick, he used to smell oranges when The Shining was coming on, right? And he starts to smell oranges, and all of a sudden he just hears, because Danny's so powerful, right? Hears this booming voice from Danny, "Dick, come now, come quick," to the point where his nose just explodes in blood, right? It's almost like he's having a stroke. Powerful, powerful scene. Where was that? Nowhere.
Nowhere. And to me, the oranges told a background and the sensibility of what the shine is, of him getting of him having a shine, and it doesn't do any. It doesn't even do anything inside the story at all with the shining. But
Yeah.
in the second film, though, is something that I really liked was it shows Danny and his mother, and then also to his mother dying, and then him seeing the ghost from that room of I think
Right.
426. I think is no 437.
No, it was
It was 437.
237. I think it was 237.
Okay, so I like the fact that Danny is scared of even going to use the bathroom, and then he winds up putting that ghost in his box in his head to
Hmm.
use for later
Yeah.
on. I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be one of those things where it's a battle of the mind,
Hmm.
and this is going to be more of a psychological thriller horror film,
Hmm.
which is something that I really loved about
Yeah.
Doctor Sleep. And it's also a slow build. If and matter of fact, I saw this in the movie theaters, and I wish that more people went and saw this movie. But I love the slow tension. I like the slow burn, and then once that tension is released, it's released.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
No, it's very good. I will say it's a little bit long, right? They could have stood some editing. I don't think it needed to be quite as long as it was, but it's a really small complaint, right? I mean, in general, it's a really good movie, and it has some very powerful scenes. That scene where he suddenly unlocks all the boxes to attack Rose the Hat, right? Wow, that's powerful, man.
that
Um,
was, and then also too,
so good.
even the little girl though, when she closes,
Oh,
she's up in the little girl's head, Rosa has in her head, and then she
mhm,
winds up looking through the filing cabinet, and then all of a sudden the
right.
girl winds up closing the filing cabinet on her on Rose's uh arm, and then the repercussions
Oh,
after that. I'm like,
pulls
ooh,
that hand out. Oh, yeah.
that made me. I mean it. That was actually a cool scene. I really like
No,
that
we should
scene.
take a minute to say how amazing an actress this young girl was. I mean, holy cow, she was good, right? You go to Danny, and I guess she's kind of the version of Danny in this film, and wow, as terrible as he was, and maybe he was good, maybe it was just Kubrick's direction, but this actress, and I don't think she did much after that. I think she might have done one or two other things, but holy cow, she was great. She really should have done a lot more stuff after that.
Yeah, Rebecca Ferguson played the
Is that her name?
yeah, Rebecca Ferguson's the one who played Rose the Hat, and she's actually played in a couple of movies. Actually, she's in a new movie. Lady, you know what? She played Lady Jessica in Dune recently.
Oh, really? I did start to watch that.
So yeah, she played Lady Jessica in Dune. Her performance is really good in Dune as well. But I liked also too how they managed to get the alcoholism right for Danny, how he
Hmm.
managed to make a friend in that little small town and trying to do right.
Right.
And then because of unseen circumstances, now he has to go ahead and teach the shine to somebody else and
Yeah.
trying to teach her with what it is and everything. I loved it. I love this film so much
Yeah.
and everything. I actually owned the book of Doctor Sleep and I also owned the director's cut of Doctor Sleep as well. And
Yeah.
also owned The
Yeah. I didn't know
Shining,
there
but
was a director's cut.
yeah, there's actually a director's cut of Doctor Sleep. I haven't watched the director's cut yet, but it might be one of those things I might have to review.
Well, here's an interesting thing, since we're talking director's cuts. So Kubrick, there's three versions of The Shining out there.
Really?
Yes, so there was the first one that was released at theaters, and within a couple weeks, Kubrick's like, "Oh my God, the critics are just trashing this thing." He pulled the film, recut it, and put it back out. And then later on there was something where they added some more footage and stuff, and so a lot of people, and that's the one that most people see now, right? That's the one that's pretty much out there, is the longer version. And a lot of people think that's a director's cut, but it's not. That second film that he cut in between the two other versions, that's, as far as Kubrick was concerned, that was the director's cut. And yet I don't even know if that one's available anywhere. So it's just an interesting story.
Right. That reminds me of the Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. There's
Hmm.
different cuts of that film, and it was only sold at that time on VHS, and you could only get that at certain cons at that time.
Hmm.
And now they don't. Now you can't even get that anywhere.
Right, right.
So I had no idea that there was another cut of The Shining or anything like that either. To be
Yeah,
honest,
there's three of them.
I didn't even know. I thought it was only
Yeah.
just one cut, and that was it, which is the cut that we
Mhm.
got.
Well, that's why he brought me on the show, to put out
Right.
interesting facts like that.
Exactly. Other than manscaping, but still,
Other than manscaping, I'm gonna manscape my face to start, and going for a steampunk look that I shall manscape. I, uh, that is honestly the best commercial I have ever heard. What a product!
you're
I
very welcome.
really would like to see a product placement with you, right?
Okay.
Just show you, you know. I mean, if I don't see you using it, I don't know,
I'm
right?
not.
I
I'm
got to
not.
see it going.
I did do an
You know,
unboxing of the Manscaped on
carving
the YouTube
glitter.
channel.
Did you really? Okay, I got to
Yeah.
look that one up. That is
Yeah.
awesome. I love these guys. I absolutely love them now. They're fantastic. Your
But
commercial was amazing.
yeah, they even have a weed whacker too.
For
They have
what?
a
For
weed
hippies? For old hippies? They
Basically,
got the
it's like
weed whacker.
it's for your nose. They're calling it a weed whacker. And they also have
Oh my
deodorant for your
god!
balls. I forgot about that too. They have deodorant for your balls as well. So, and they also
Really?
gave me a T-shirt and
What does
boxers.
it smell like? It's interesting. They have deodorant for your balls. They made it smell like vagina. I don't know. It's weird. It's very odd. Very odd. So it was an interesting way to go. Are
Right.
they going to
Yeah.
drop you now that we've had these
I don't think
conversations?
so. I think we're gonna be good because I've seen where the. This is why I wanted to do manscaping. To be honest with you, I like doing funny bits to make people laugh,
Yeah.
and I've been using more creative ways of actually doing it. So, and get this, my fiance Brandy, she's like, "You're not gonna wear that shirt, are you?" I said, "Hell yeah, I am," because on the
They got
back,
shirts. Oh, you got to
yeah,
get me a shirt.
on
2X. I need a 2X shirt. of
Well, use the promo
manscaping. I
code
will
Movie Lovely
wear it
Night. You
and
get 20%.
advertise it everywhere. Let me say this: if they filmed you, well, I guess you filmed you, and
Right.
made a commercial in that, it would still be fucking better than The Shining.
Right, exactly. Not even I think the Ghost in the Shining would be proud to actually wear a Manscaped shirt over
They
being in
probably
Stanley
would, right?
Kubrick's movie.
Right.
But even on the back of the shirt, it says "Your balls will thank you." So yeah,
Oh
my
my God, I love it. These guys are
so,
great. I gotta get them to start sponsoring me. Jesus Christ, I'm not even doing anything right now but writing a script. Right?
right.
Sponsor me anyway. Sponsor my Facebook page so that I can do a manscaping commercials.
But well, this is The Shining and Doctor Sleep featuring a Manscaped promo. So, but
I forgot we were talking about The Shining. That's right.
right,
All right.
but
We have enough time to talk about The Shinning.
yeah, but I think we wanted to also talk about the fact that you were trying to give away a certain
Oh yeah,
album,
yeah. Hmm.
and I'm gonna let you take that one away.
Yeah, so we've got a soundtrack to the Texas Chainsaw Musical. Play that myself, and I had a partner on that one, Corey Bidoff, and it's done really well. It just finished a 3-week run over in Cleveland, Ohio, which might not sound impressive, but a lot of people don't know. Cleveland, Ohio is the second largest theater district in the country. So take that, right? It's Broadway and then Cleveland, Ohio. But yeah, so it did great. It sold out all kinds of shows, and to say thanks and to try to avoid the hate mail for my hatred of The Shining, of this classic. I'd love to give the soundtrack away to people. Now, how you want to do that? I tell
Okay.
you what, I'm on Facebook, Christopher Minori, and if you private message me with an email address, I will send you a link to the soundtrack for free. So, and it's
Yep.
pretty damn good.
I have to say, I listened to a couple of tracks myself. The soundtrack is really good. I had Christopher on here, what, a couple of months back doing an interview with
Mhm.
him. And you can catch that on our YouTube channel. You can just scroll through all the giants. And matter of fact, I think it might be in the awesome interview section of our YouTube channel. So,
Wow, the awesome interview section.
so you're actually in the awesome interview section of the YouTube
Oh,
channel.
that's cool.
So yeah, so that's where you can go on ahead and find his interview and many other interviews that we do. Speaking of which, I know that we covered everything that we wanted to talk about with The Shining and Doctor Sleep, but I just want to point out this: I actually do have the casting director, former casting director turned um, life coach, coming on the show on 11/23 of 2021, and matter of fact, he was
The
actually
casting
on
director of what? The Shining?
no, the Shawshank Redemption.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Now that was a good King film.
Yes. So he's going to be on at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific Time on the 23rd of November. So I'm excited about that.
No
And there's not going to
doubt.
be there's not going to be any manscaping involved with that interview. It's going to be manscape free for that interview. So
You don't think the casting director of The Shawshank Redemption is wants to listen to your manscaping spiel?
I don't think so.
I don't. He doesn't sound cool at all. Or she?
I
Is
don't
it a
know.
she? Isn't
It's
it
a
a
guy.
she?
It's a
It's a
guy.
guy. It is a guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's really cool. I'm definitely
thank you.
gonna tune into that. Uh I love that movie. I
I
really
do
do.
too. I really do. I might have you back on here again to review the Shawshank Redemption before I interview him.
Yeah, I would love that.
So, all
I
right.
love doing your show, mate.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Um, see, Brandy Mullins says so. After manscaping, it's shining.
I can, that is true. Okay, who was that? What was her name?
Brandy Mullins.
Brandy Mullins. Hit me up, private message me on Facebook because you absolutely deserve a copy of my show. They do manscaping there too, but they do it with chainsaws. So it's not
Yeah,
quite as you can't do quite the designs, right?
no, can't do quite the designs, but you can just use your manscaper.
Look at that. That's
Look at that
awesome.
beauty right there.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And
I
then,
want one of those. Can you get me one? But I'm cheap. I
well,
mean, can you just get me one
if
with
you
a
want them on the
t-shirt?
cheap, it's gonna be dull, Chris. If you want cheap, you're gonna see a guy with a trench coat on and everything. I wouldn't advise that. I would go on ahead and use my promo code Movie Lovers Tonight and
uh,
get 20% off free shipping and handling. They gave me a little travel bag. They also gave me boxers and stuff like that. It's a fantastic product. I tried it out myself.
boxers.
I tried it out myself and everything. They're great for
This
what
is
you get and
awesome.
everything. It's fantastic.
All right. I know it's TMI, but what design are you using? Are you doing a portrait? Are you you got a portrait of the lady on
I'm
there? You
actually
doing the
doing a
racing
little.
stripe?
No, I'm doing like the Thunderbolt. I'm doing like a Thunderbolt on mine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's classy.
because I
That's
like to bring
classy.
the thunder. Okay, I'm not gonna go there.
No, no, I should have even taken us there, but I do need to know. It's a no taint pinch, right?
It doesn't pinch the boys
Run
at
it up
all.
and down the taint, doesn't pinch it. This
No.
thing has dropped so far. I don't even know why you invite me on this show anymore.
Because this is why I need to have you, so that way we can. But I do have a couple of teaser, not the teasers for the Manscaped, but I do have a couple of videos of me and the um director of the acting director doing a couple of teasers for the interview, so you guys can check that out also on the YouTube channel. And laughing my ass off. That's what he said.
That's what he
Oh
said.
my god, Tamika, can you?
Oh, this is the best. Don't you love her? You know, I used to live
Yep,
next door to Tamika and her
yeah, I do.
wonderful father. I hope he's doing well. I know he was feeling sick. But she's awesome. I love her, and her
Tamika's
show
just
is pretty
fantastic.
damn good too. Her blurred cast.
Yeah, Two Blur Girls podcast. She
Yeah.
does her and Tamara are both perfect together. I'm gonna say
Oh
that.
man, I
They're,
saw their
they,
show the other day. It was fantastic.
it is. It definitely is. So, with that being said, Chris, where can everybody follow you at?
So I'm on Facebook, right? Christopher Minori. I'm on Instagram and also Twitter under CT Minori. And my webpage is minorjoystudios.com, minorjoy studios with an s.com. And look, you can contact me at any of those places. I'm real happy to reach out. I really look forward, not just to fans. Let me tell you real quick, if we got a minute,
Yeah,
I've met a fan here in Panama, of all places. And not only that, she's not an expat. She was Panamanian. I think she's one of the biggest fans I have. She was so excited, and it just blew my mind, right? But I
that's
just said
awesome,
that to make me sound cool.
dude.
I don't, I'm
That's
not,
awesome.
thank you. Thank you. I thought it was really neat. I'm not just looking for fans to reach out, although of course I want that. But if you're an author, if you're a starting author, or even someone who's been doing it, and you want to know about self-publishing, which is so much better than traditional publishing, it's nothing to be ashamed of, as some people think it is. And you just want to know how to move on, or how to, you just want someone to take a quick read of your work and just let me know, man, I'm happy to do that. um, I think supporting writers, is so important. There's so many talented people out there who just haven't really gotten a chance, and I'm always happy to help them. So reach out to me through any of those mediums. Real happy to do it.
That's awesome, man. I have to say you do a fantastic job of trying to help other writers and everything. So definitely reach out to Chris. Chris will review your work and everything. And so go on ahead, do that. Follow me on all social medias. Of course, guys, go on ahead and follow me underneath Movie Lovers Unite on Facebook, underneath the same name on Instagram as well, and on Pinterest at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite. Of course, guys, speaking of Tamika, her and our podcast, Two Blur Girls and Movie Lovers Unite, are teamed up with Cincy. and you can actually go on ahead, get yourself a Cincy, and all proceeds go over to the children of St Jude's Children's Hospital. So go on ahead, get yourself a Cincy. It goes for a good cause. Also, too, you guys can go on ahead and get an audio only a podcast episode of our show wherever you guys get your podcast at. And then also too on Good Pods as well. It's like social media, but it's for podcasters or someone that loves listening to podcasts and things like that. You can rate individual shows, tell us what you think of those shows, and everything on Good Pods. It also helps us out with the ranking list. Also, too, you can also go on Apple Podcasts, rate us over there. It helps people find our show. So if you rank us, it helps people us in the rankings, but it also helps people find our show. Another thing too is you guys can go on ahead if you're a sponsor or would like to be on the show. All you have to do is reach out to me at movieloversunite@gmail.com. Of course, you guys, I also am on TikTok as well. I do some promotional stuff on TikTok as well. And you can always go ahead and follow me underneath Movie Lovers Unit 0. And then, of course, on Twitter as well, Movie Lovers Unit over there. That's everywhere that you guys can go ahead and follow me at. And thank you, Brandy Mullins. Thank you to our daughter, Nessa. Thank you to my fiance, Brandy. And thank you to D'Amica for keeping the live chat active tonight. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you, of course, Chris, for joining me. I do appreciate it, you taking the time out of your night to talk about manscaping and also to talk about The Shining
Were
and
we talking about
Dr.
The
Sleep.
Shining? I don't remember
Yeah,
that
I
bit.
thought so. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the show and everything. Also, too, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe button, and all that other good stuff on the bottom right-hand side of the corner. Also, too, there's a bell to allow you guys to know when we have something new coming up. So smash that bell. Also, too, we just dropped a trailer reaction to Morbius. So go on and check out our trailer reaction for that. We do appreciate that. And always until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. Can't wait to do this again. And bye-bye.